Bitcoin pump, holy bananas. Okay, guys, today's video, we're going to talk about BTCZ. We're going to talk about ETHZ. We're going to talk dominance because I think dominance is very important right now. And we're going to talk about what the dominant means for potentially a future altcoin CZ. So make sure that you watch this one till the end because this is going to be a lot of information that you're going to need to know. Now, elephant in the room, in the last video, we talked about the 1 hour fractal that I found randomly in May of 2023 and how the 1 hour fractal was looking very similar to the daily time frame. That fractal obviously didn't play out. However, even though I told you guys not to be weird, you were still weird and were like, Geo, you're too bearish, whatever. When I was just sharing the fractal, guys, like I said like 5 times that market cipher didn't look the same and I didn't think that it was going to happen. Anyways, look, here we are now. Forget about the past. The past is the past and we don't really care. We've had a pump. Okay, we've had a pump. We're on the daily time frame. And this is nothing shocking, okay? This is nothing shocking. We have a lot of liquidity that has been built up over the past month or so. You know, I've been screaming from the top of my lungs since 71K, you're too bullish, you're too bullish. And then we had a decent pullback, still, 25% move to the downside, okay, from that point. Was I shocked that this move happened? No, we've been talking about the liquidity above us and we've identified that. However, I was surprised that it happened as soon as it happened. And the reason why simply, and we've talked about this many times on the channel as well, but the reason why I was a little bit shocked about the timing of this move was because this low was not taken again. We've talked about this extensively, but long story short, this is what I personally believe, okay? I believe that market makers were at the highs, okay? We were at 72.1K. We were 2% away from the all-time high, and they didn't make a run for it. Why? And the answer to why could be because they did not mitigate an important demand zone that they needed to mitigate in order to send price higher. That is still a fact till today, even though we've had a pump and a market structure flip of 26%. Okay, so Biddy is up 26%, yet it has still not taken, not taken, but not rebalanced the imbalance of the low of that order block down here. Okay, this is a little bit problematic for Biddy, and right now is kind of a make or break zone for Biddy. Okay, why? If we pull our volume profile within the range, okay, we're making our way right now up towards the value area high. If we pull our Fibonacci golden pocket tool and we actually change it to a fib, okay, you also, give or take, have the 786 around that zone. Now, depending on how you pull your volume profile will change these variables, okay? However you want to draw it, doesn't really change anything. In this general box between where we are now, basically 66 and give or take 69, we do have a potential rejection zone, okay? Nothing can go up forever, just as nothing can go down forever. And just like we had this down move, and then we had a nice retracement up, we are relatively overextended on the daily time frame, okay? When I say relatively, please don't be weird again, okay? We have 14 days, basically 14 days of just straight up, okay? No down, 14 days of straight up. And look, we had that to the downside as well. We were overextended to the downside as well, but that doesn't mean that we're not overextended to the upside. So right now, this is definitely not the time to be looking for swing longs, okay? Definitely not the time for me looking for swing longs. If anything, we're looking for potentially scalp shorts to potentially send it back down towards the golden pocket down at this way. Now, I'm not going to talk about order blocks in this video because we talk about that every single day, but this is generally the time to be looking for somewhat of a rejection. It doesn't mean we're going to zero, but I want to bring something to your attention, okay? I said many, many times that I believe your real opportunity is going to come on your next white dot on the 18-hour time frame that happens below the zero line. And the reason I said that is because the number one rule when it comes to market cipher is the thicker the money flow, the more chances of divergences. And at these lows on the 18-hour time frame, this is very thick money flow, and we only had one divergence. You usually will get, if it's going to be a spike wave, then you'll have one divergence, but this is not a spike wave because your money flow is thicker here than it was here. If you don't know what a spike wave is, it is essentially a term that I created when your momentum waves are making a higher high, but your price is making a lower low, so it's a divergence, but your money flow is also giving you that divergence as well. Right, so because the thicker the money flow, the more chances of divergences, we were looking at coming down lower. Now, I said I didn't want to get super technical, and I don't want to get super technical in this video. However, all you need to know, long story short, is we never had an accumulation down at this low. And you need to remember, in order for price to go higher, typically price needs to mitigate something. And we were, it doesn't have to, but we were 2% away from the all time high and we never took it. Why? Why wouldn't we take it? It's likely because this zone needed to be mitigated and we front ran it, which is bearish. Okay. It's not a good thing that we never took that level. And so I've said multiple times on the channel that I believe if we touch the all time high before we touch 53K, it is macro bearish. And if we touch 53K before we touch the all time high, it is macro bullish. Okay. So despite right now being a potential rejection area, I think that we can look down towards the golden pocket and 786. Although I also think that because we have the liquidity beneath us, if we are to pull this far back, your structure on the daily internal time frame, this is not a joke. Like if you start to lose, give or take, 63K, if you start to lose 63K, not only do you have the range point of control there, but this is your new daily low. Remember, we were talking about how structure had flipped, and I was saying, hey, if you flip 64K, that's when we got to really get bullish. Now we've just confirmed another daily point, which is around that same area. So 63K is very important. And in the event that we were to get this pullback into the golden pocket, the problem with that is your daily structure flips back to bearish. And I can tell you this, if your daily structure flips back to bearish before you hit this high, we are coming to this low. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to be coming to this low. So yes, you should be looking for potentially a higher low because, I mean, your higher term time frames, perhaps the 2-day, yeah, supports the idea of bouncing off of here. But just don't rule out the idea of coming to this 53K zone because we didn't actually get that nice long-term accumulation, okay? Now, that's the bearish scenario. The bullish scenario is we obviously continue to blast up and we touch all-time high. There is no doubt about that that is an undeniable truth that may happen. And that's essentially how squeezes work. Guys, you have a lot of liquidity being built up. Just as liquidity is my favorite thing in the whole world when it comes to trading, we have a lot of liquidity. We've been for 128 days, so for 4 months, we've been building up liquidity above the all-time high. So I think it's about time we come up and we take that all-time high. And this is why I was saying when we were at 71K, we're coming to at least 64K, and then we're going all-time high, and then we're going to roll over. Now, we went a lot deeper than I thought we were going to go, but how could you predict that when you're all the way at 71K? And because they came this close and didn't touch the low, you got to just like raise an eyebrow a little bit. You got to be a little bit worried. You cannot be overly bullish. Just as you can't be overly bearish, right? And the bears learned this week. So now the bullish scenario is if we were to make our way to the high, cool, we make a new all-time high. Everybody's so excited. We are so back. You're going to start seeing the Lamborghini posts and everything else. Fine, great. That's all fun and dandy. But this raises a concern, okay? And the concern here is if you get a nice structured time, first of all, if you don't get a nice clean breakout, when I say clean breakout, I mean something like this. Like if you're not going to get up to like, 81, 82K, like something like this, right? Like we were consolidating and then you had a nice breakout. If you don't get a nice breakout like that, it's not good, okay? And the reason it's not good is because we fronted this order block. So if we were to take the all-time high and say SFP it on the daily time frame, that is very, very bearish. And your target easily would be this low, to be honest, if not much lower, because again, they never actually mitigated their order block. So if you are more macro bullish on Bitcoin, you should be hoping that it comes and mitigates this guy, because this, in my opinion anyway, is the way that we are going to be able to have a sustainable move to the upside where we can blast out. But until we touch this high, again, unless they really push price up to like the 80s, then I think that it is more bearish and we should be looking for giga shorts at this point down to this low, because again, this guy's been fronted. Anyways, I'm rambling, but you get the idea. So that's the bullish case. We could absolutely just continue making our way up 100% and taking this high, and it makes sense to. It makes sense to because we have so much liquidity. But the problem that I have with this idea is it also made sense to up here. And that's why I was screaming up here that we're going to go lower, because of what I just said. They were so close to the high and they didn't take it. Why? The only logical reason is to sweep liquidity, fine, but they still didn't mitigate this zone. Okay, so that's something to consider. Now, let's talk about Ethereum, okay? Because Ethereum and Bitcoin work in tandem, and Ethereum is showing us something a little bit spooky at the moment, okay? A little bit spooky at the moment. So, Ethereum, just like Bitcoin, don't mind my TA. We're going to hide all that because that is more technical, and we don't want to get super technical today. So, Ethereum right now, and things are subject to change, guys. Please don't say, don't think I'm saying short it right now. Just like I said in my last video, that's not what I was saying, right? But I'm just looking at the technicals here. Bitcoin and Ethereum work in tandem, okay? If we come back to the Bitcoin chart, where we were talking about this high, and we were saying that this high needs to flip. Now, where is this high relative to Ethereum? Ethereum's daily high is currently where we are right now. So Ethereum's daily high never flipped. And remember, they work in tandem. Ethereum's high never flipped. Not only did Ethereum's high not flip, but Ethereum now is starting to get SFPs at this high. This is a little bit worrisome because keep in mind, Bitcoin is at a place right now where if there's going to be a rejection of some kind, it doesn't need to go to 52K like I, built a case for. It doesn't need to, but if it's going to get somewhat of a pullback here and it's not going to shoot straight to all-time high, then Ethereum is going to do something very similar. And Ethereum right now, they work in tandem. Ethereum right now is kind of giving us a little bit of a clue because we're unable to close above this same level that Biddy closed above, okay? Your 18-hour time frame on market Cipher is starting to curve. Your VWAP is about to give you a red dot. If you guys don't know, the red dot comes as soon as your VWAP crosses the zero line, that's when your red dot appears. So your 18 hours about to give you a red dot, and you're going to get a divergence here on the 18-hour time frame. Yeah, you're going to get a divergence. So you need to be really cautious at this zone. Not only do you need to be cautious here, but at these highs, at a level where it makes sense for Ethereum to pull back, just as it makes sense for Biddy to have somewhat of a retracement. If it's going to have one, it's going to have it around here. Ethereum, and I'm not going to get too technical with it, but Ethereum right now is showing signs of a distribution at these highs. It doesn't mean that it has to play out. This distribution could absolutely turn into a reaccumulation and then they send price higher for sure. I can't discount that idea. I can't discredit that idea. However, this right now is not showing the best signs. Not only are we starting to get those 18-hour divergences, but you can even see here on the 45, on the 30-minute, you have money flow over time. I'm going to actually go on a higher term time frame. Let's look at the 2-hour, right? 2-hour, you got a spike wave going on right now, okay? You got money pouring out, and you have the momentum wave divergences. As price is making a higher high, money's coming out, and we're getting those divergences. So ETH might be talking to Biddy here, right? They work in tandem, like I said. And if Ethereum is going to get a pullback from here, then I would expect Bitcoin to do something similar. Oof, that is definitely not the definition of not getting too technical. So we would expect that as well. Okay. Now, these are all speculations. Of course, things change in real time. Please don't take my information and just short it. I'm 5'2" and 3/4. I have no idea how to trade. Don't listen to me. But this is kind of what I'm seeing right now. And, I'm just going to play the market for what the market gives me. We've been absolutely smashing the scalps in the VIP Discord. If you're interested, the link is in the description down below. We've been killing every move here. And, I fully expect to continue taking advantage of these markets. The next thing I want to talk about is Bitcoin dominance, okay? Dominance is an interesting topic. I have been openly bullish on dominance for quite some time, basically ever since like April. It's been at least 2 months of me being openly bullish on dominance. And the important thing that you need to know, and I've had this drawing on forever, but the important thing that you need to know when it comes to dominance is whenever Bitcoin gets a move, or a large move, at least for likely this year, dominance is going to rise. I believe dominance will continue to rise over the rest of the year. Now, I think that whenever Bitcoin is going to have its either break up or break down. Remember, if we come back to Bitcoin, I was saying we got 2 lines that we got to worry about. We got to worry about the all-time high, and we got to worry about the 52, 53, whatever number. It was different on my other chart. This one, 53090, right? I've been saying this for a while, that I think whichever way it goes, I think that dominance is going to remain bullish and that dominance is going to touch this line around the same time that Bitcoin either touches its high or it touches its low of the range. Okay. Now, this is going to greatly impact your altcoins because many people, despite and contrary to belief, and some of the altcoins have been doing well, but believe it or not, this is not altcoin season yet. In order for you to see altcoin season, you need to see dominance really start to fall. And it can, but I just don't think it's time yet. And the reason I don't think it's time yet is because Bitcoin is primed for a big move. And whenever Bitcoin has its big move, dominance will typically rise. So this drawing, what is this drawing? I think that when dominance comes up and touches this line, which I do believe is going to happen, Bitcoin is either going to, and we're going to know the answer at the time, Bitcoin is either going to be soaring its way to the all-time high, or it's going to be plummeting down to its 53K area. And depending on which way it ends up going, because, we're still just in the range, depending on which way it ends up going, will greatly depend on what goes on with the altcoins, okay? Like I said, Ethereum right now is showing weakness at a very important level, okay? This wick that we had, unlike Bitcoin, did not sweep any lows, okay? This low has not been swept. So Ethereum's liquidity has been intact now on the low side for 97 days. But not just that, Ethereum loves to not sweep liquidity, okay? And so there is quite a bit of room to the downside if dominance starts to rise. If dominance starts to rise and Bitcoin ends up dumping, you best believe that your altcoins are going to dump with it, right? However, if dominance starts to rise as Bitcoin starts to pump out of this zone, then this may be indicative of a true move. Remember, if we touch all-time high, I will be looking for SFPs. I will be looking for weakness above these highs. And in the event that I see weakness, I will absolutely short it, especially if we don't touch this low. However, if dominance is on the rise and we're getting a strong move here and we break out of, like, let's say 80, 81, 82K, then we can really start discussing a proper altcoin season. And it's simple, right? The thicker the money flow, the more chances of divergences. And on the 3-day time frame, you have thick money flow. You never got the divergence here at the high yet. So I'm waiting for that to happen. And that's essentially why I'm suspecting that we might get, a continued rise on dominance. I don't think it's time yet. I think 2024 is the year of biddy, not altcoins. Doesn't mean you can't make money on altcoins. Look at some altcoins like Solana or whatever. However, you also need to understand that in the event that it goes the other way, some altcoins are going to make new bear market lows. I've said that for about 4 months now, and yesterday was the very first time that I noticed one coin make a new bear market low, and that coin is Atom, okay? That coin is Atom. So you got to be aware that anything is possible in these markets. Price can go up, price can go down. You got to be aware of it. But let's come back to Bitcoin for just one last second, because we have an idea now as to what Bitcoin might do as a whole, right? We could easily break out to the highs because we have a lot of liquidity there. We could easily roll over. This is the place to look for a rollover. But the one last thing I want to talk about is to do with liquidity, right? Remember, I've said many times in this video alone that we were 2% away, 3% away from the all-time high, and they didn't take it. That's telling you a story. Okay, that is telling you a story. Now, I'm watching for order blocks as well that we could reject from. But one thing I want to bring to your attention is this liquidity curve, okay? So we have liquidity. We've not really been taking any of the highs, and we have a nice liquidity curve here. Now, I'm not forcing this curve, okay? This looks like a clean, nice curve. This curve lines up, which is it's basically a trend, also lines up with the idea of potentially getting somewhat of a rejection here. Now, again, I'm not suggesting it's going to happen. I'm not suggesting to short it right now. I'm not suggesting that we're going to 52K or we're going to 0. But it does line up right now perfectly well with our golden pocket 786. Remember, I'm looking for order blocks such as this guy up here. So my entries are a little bit more refined. But again, we don't want to make this a very technical video. So, we're keeping in mind that we have this trend that is potentially able to remain. And what could happen is we could hit this, come down a little bit, and then come down further, mitigate this order block, respect this one even further. We don't need to, basically what I'm trying to say, and this is something that I've learned on this entire move up, okay? If anybody knows, during October, like this point really tripped me up, especially this market structure flip. I was We got the divs and we had everything else. And I've learned my lesson to not, like, you got to be aware of liquidity, but you cannot obsess over liquidity and say that it has to do something, because it doesn't have to do anything. This liquidity curve could remain intact for the next 10 years if it wants to. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That is obviously an exaggeration, but it could. It could. We don't have to come up for it right now. So if we reject from here and if we come back down to 53K, you can't be surprised. Just as you can't be surprised if we just break out, maybe we range here and then we come down, or we just break out and go way higher, 100K up only. You can't be surprised either way, right? Trading is probabilities. It is our job to identify the probabilities, decide which way makes more sense, build your narrative, and then trade in that direction. That's the only thing that you can do. And so right now, this trend line is in, or liquidity line rather. I don't really trade trend lines, but I look at it in a liquidity point of view. This liquidity right now could easily just remain intact, where you just make another lower low. And the idea makes sense because we did not come for this order block, like I said, and we did not even produce an accumulation down here at the lows. So I am a little bit cautious because of that. But at the end of the day, guys, I'm a scalper. I don't care. I can get in on the 2-minute time frame if I want to. So it really doesn't matter to me. But this is what I'm seeing right now with Bitcoin. This is what I'm seeing right now with Ethereum. They work in tandem, and Ethereum is showing weakness right now. And this is what I'm seeing right now with dominance and how it goes with the altcoins, right? We're going to be watching the altcoins. We're going to be trading the altcoins. I am back on live every day. This, starting this week, I'm back going on live maybe 4 or 5 times a week. I just had a very busy week. So we're going to be doing live scalping sessions. So make sure that, number one, if you like the content, to hit the like button. And if you love the content, hit the subscribe button with the notification bell, because I might get into a scalp trade in real time that you become profitable on, even though I don't condone you copying my trades. But, you know, some people will do it. And we've had stories where people were, in the profit because of the trade, or because of a trade that I took on YouTube, right? So that's it, guys. That is it for this video. In the event that you are interested in supporting me alongside hitting the like button, I do have all of my affiliate links in the description down below. And as always, I do very much appreciate everybody that does support me. My exchanges are Mexi, KSEX, and Blowfin. I am also a affiliate with Crypto Faces prop firm Breakout, and that's going very well as well. I will keep you guys updated on that. I got funded on one account on one trade, with one trade. So Breakout is going pretty well. And yeah, I mean, shouts out to the sponsor of the channel, Market Cipher, and I will see you guys on Monday, likely for a scalping live stream. Everybody have an amazing Saturday. Thank you for watching till the end, and make good choices. See you later.